Today is actually the second part of an exclusive episode sharing my birth story and my pregnancy journey. So, buckle up your seatbelts once again because I'm starting to share in the second trimester and third trimester today. So, we're getting closer and closer to the the big entry of my son, affectionately called Boogie. So, the second trimester was actually really amazing. What they tell you is true. At least for me, it was. A lot of my symptoms went away. I wasn't nauseous anymore. I was actually able to travel. Call me traveling pregnant bae, by the way. But I was about, let me see, I think I turned 27 weeks when we went to our vacation, or as they call a baby moon, which is a kind of honeymoon before the baby comes, right? So we took a baby moon right before I turned 28 weeks. And for those of you who don't know, maybe you haven't been pregnant before, or maybe you're just not, in line with what the trimesters look like. 28 weeks is actually starting the third trimester, right? Because that'll be, let me see, that's 4, 8, I don't even know, girl, whatever. So, but that's starting the third trimester. And so, which is 3 months, right? You have trimesters. So they're between 3 and 4 months each. And well, however that math, I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm a social worker. I'm a therapist. I don't know math unless it has to do with money. Ask my husband. And but the second trimester was really fun. I got to travel to Cancun, Mexico. I was doing pretty good. I was huge and I was tired. I didn't really want to walk a lot, but I was okay. Like on the plane, I was nervous about getting on the plane, but I looked up tips on how to do that. You just need to stay hydrated, very hydrated. And make sure you wear like compression socks to keep the swelling down. And so that part was fun. I also went to Houston, Texas for Millions Conference. And that was fun because I went with my mom and one of my longtime friends. So I was traveling up until, let me see, I was like the whole month of April. So, I was gone like every other week in April, traveling for business, traveling for pleasure, but it was good. So that third trimester hits different though. Like immediately I knew when I hit that third trimester. But the second trimester, I can't really say much about it because it was just a breeze. Like it was really nice. I wasn't too big. I was still moving around. Another thing to note, during my entire pregnancy, I walked pretty much every day except during the first trimester because I was exhausted and nauseous all the time. But once the second trimester hit, I was walking every day, 20 to 30 minutes a day, because I couldn't walk that far without being out of breath. I was traveling on plane. We even went to San Diego. So I was, a very active pregnancy. Thank God I was pretty healthy and everything. And then kind of the stuff hit the fan when I went to the doctor. And if you don't know this either, and between, I forget how many weeks it is, but before you hit your third trimester, they test you for glucose, which is, if you don't know that term, it's your blood sugar level. And so I was tested for my blood sugar level. And honestly, I freaked out about that test because I was in this like mommy group online and everybody was like talking about they was fainting and the drink was just so bad and they had all these symptoms and everything. And let me tell you this, when you get anxious about something and you try to put someone's negative experience onto you, a lot of the times you kind of open the door for you to have that person's experience, and you kind of remove yourself from having your own experience. So what happened is the day before I had to take that test, I was probably a week out from going to Houston, maybe not even a week. I don't even know. But it was right before I went to Houston, I found out. And so, and I didn't tell nobody, I don't think, except my husband and my mom, that I'll get to that part. But the day before I took the test, it was like I was freaking out. I had a lot of anxiety and all the symptoms that I was afraid of getting at, taking the glucose test. I got them. I pretty much got dizzy and I didn't faint, but I was hot, really, really hot, had hot flashes, and just all these things that were happening to me. And I hadn't even taken the test yet. And my husband was like, well, everything that you thought was going to happen happened. So you don't have to be afraid anymore because it wasn't that bad. And I was like, actually, yes. But no, it wasn't that bad. And I wasn't afraid anymore. And I kind of prayed and released that to God because I did not want that experience to happen. So I went in, I prayed over the test, and I was just like, I don't want any symptoms from this thing. Mind you, you have to go in there for, I think it's an hour. I think the first one is an hour, and then some people have to do it for like 3 hours. And then some people have to do it for more because if your glucose is higher than a certain level in your pregnancy, they will diagnose you with gestational diabetes. And in pregnancy, a lot of things can happen with, I guess, the placenta is not doing what it's supposed to do or whatever they might tell you, right? And so yeah, that happened. I took the test and lo and behold, nothing happened. No, I was like, okay, I'm just chilling. I was doing I did an email. I sat there and I talked to another person who was doing the 3-hour test. I was reading a book, I just sat there and nothing happened. The drink that they give you, it's kind of like it's a little drink, and it's like a soda. It's kind of like a flat soda, like a flat Sprite. It didn't taste terrible, it was doable. It wasn't terrible. So more of this story and why I'm telling this story is because I want anybody who is pregnant, having any experience, to go in it and make that experience your own. You can have knowledge or, you can have wisdom on what you're doing, but don't allow the experiences of someone else to put that on you. That doesn't mean it's going to happen to you. And so that's kind of what happened. Lo and behold, I find out that the blood sugar was higher than it was supposed to be. And they were telling me that I had gestational diabetes. And I was like, oh, okay. I felt fine. I was kind of sad about it because of the way the doctor did it. She had no bedside manner. And she, no bedside manner. So if you're watching this, doctor, work on that. But, yeah, so that was interesting. And thank goodness I was able to manage the blood sugar with just my eating. Because that's, a lot of times with diabetes, you just have to change your eating. And it was gestational. I don't have diabetes. I won't ever get it in the name of Jesus. And, they were trying to put all this stuff on me and telling me these things and warning signs and you're going to have a big baby and you're predisposed to diabetes and you're this and you're that. And I said, in the name of Jesus, I'm not. The lady even came over there. She's like, oh, you have gestational diabetes. And I'm like, that's what they say. I'm not going to proclaim that because your words are powerful. Now, am I going to watch what I eat? Yes. Am I going to do the things that I need to do to prevent that from happening in the future? Yes. But I'm also not about to let somebody word curse me. So if you know anything about me, know that, and so I began to pray over myself, pray over the baby, and remember what I said in the last video, that God told me that all is well and that this baby is perfect. So they were proclaiming it was going to be a big baby. And I was like, he's going to be perfect. I just, I was listening to what they were saying in wisdom, but I wasn't allowing what they were saying to supersede what God was saying. Ooh, that's a word. I'm gonna repeat that. I wasn't allowing what they were saying to supersede what God was saying. And so, but I was able to manage everything with just my eating. I had to prick myself like 4 times a day, 3 times a day, or however many times to make sure that the sugar was under control. Which it was. I literally no problem with my sugar, unless I ate stupid, unless I ate things that I wasn't supposed to eat with high sugar, right? Then I would have high sugar. But other than that, I had literally perfect blood sugar. So I feel like that was not fully accurate, but hey, that's just me. And yeah, so that was the second trimester when I found nothing. The third trimester, because because I tested positive for the gestational diabetes, they also recommended me for a high risk doctor. And so starting in the third trimester, I had to go every week, twice a week, to see a what is it called? Intense doctor. So I guess I'm heading into the third trimester. That's not the word. Maternal fetal medicine is a specialist. It's a pregnancy specialist. I can't remember the term that they called the high risk. There you go. They were calling my pregnancy high risk. And it's so funny how God works, because the only reason I chose my doctor was because she was Black. Because she was Black, and I thought she was, good at what she does. She was a recommended doctor from some clinic that I trust. And so she was Black, and I went with her because I already told you guys I was afraid to go to the hospital. So anyway, I'm trying to get this out in 20 minutes or less. So yeah, so I went to the doctor. I went to the maternal fetal medicine doctor, which is the high risk doctor, and I had to be monitored twice a week. And if you don't know what monitoring is, I'm not going to fully explain it, but basically they put some stuff on your belly and it monitors the movements, the heartbeat of the baby, so make sure everything is intact. And then they also do like a quick ultrasound every time that you're there, so you kind of get to see the baby and make sure it's in position and everything. So it was annoying, but it was also nice to see the baby more often and know that he was doing good. I was honestly super annoyed during that time of having to go to the doctor, not once a week, not twice a week, but 3 times a week, because I had to go to the maternal fetal medicine doctor twice a week. Then I had to go to the regular doctor, like the OBGYN, once a week. So yeah, like it was a lot going on, and I'm not even getting to the other part yet. So I'm going to tell you about what happened when I went to the doctor for one of my regular visits. So there was one time that I went to the doctor, and the next day was my baby shower, right? So it was like May 19th, because my baby shower was on May 20th, I believe. I might be off on the dates, but whatever. So this is in the third trimester. So I'm already 30, I don't even remember. Very, very far along. So, maybe 33 weeks or so. About to do the baby shower and everything. So I'm super excited, but also kind of stressed. And so went to the doctor the day before, and the blood pressure was reading a little higher, a little elevated. And guess what? My doctor decides to send me to the hospital the day before my baby shower. The amount of lividness in that moment, I'm like, are you serious? This is normal. I'm a little stressed. And in that moment, I did not understand her precaution. I was more so focused on, I better not be admitted to spend the night here and miss my baby shower. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to be obedient. I'm going to go to the hospital and I'm going to pray this blood pressure down. And so, so I'm praying that the blood pressure goes down, and I'm, in the hospital or whatever, doing all these tests. There was no, there's something, I will say this on a real note. There is something called preeclampsia that women can get a lot of times in the third trimester. Two of the major signs of preeclampsia, and it's very dangerous. It's very dangerous for those that actually get it. But two of the signs is that blood pressure is elevated and there's protein in the urine. Those two have to be there in order for them to diagnose you with preeclampsia. And so, day before the baby shower, blood pressure is elevated, and I mean like slightly. It was not terrible. It was not like, how you would typically see someone's blood pressure elevated. But my doctor, as I was saying, I chose her because she was a Black doctor, but she just so happened to be a high-risk doctor. I was not planning to have a high-risk pregnancy. I was not planning to be categorized as that. However, she just so happened to be that. She was a Black doctor. She was experienced in her field. I chose her, right? She took my insurance. That worked out. But it was not in my plan at all. However, like I'm telling y'all, God sees everything, knows everything. And of course, he, knew that this would happen. And so, because I trusted her, even though I was annoyed with her, I went to the doctor, got all the tests. No protein in the urine, thank God. As soon as I got to the hospital, they laid me down, put my feet up, felt great. They monitored the baby. He was fine. He was amazing the entire time, by the way, you guys. Like, never had any issue with the baby. Never. Nothing. There was nothing going on with him. Every time they monitored him, everything was perfect. And they would even say that. Like, they would continue to confirm what I heard from God and what I was claiming for the baby. And so he was fine. Blood pressure, as soon as I laid down, it went down like I suspected. There was no protein in the urine. And, I went about my merry way. They did that a couple more times because now I'm going to the doctor and I'm nervous. Because she, I'm like, she going to send me to the hospital again and I'm not ready, but that's a whole another story for another day. And so then what happened? So then they decided to diagnose me with the, what is it called? The gestational hypertension. Okay. So that was annoying as well. I wasn't proclaiming that. I never had any issues with hypertension. It can happen during pregnancy, but I believe it was just white coat because pretty much every time I went to the high-risk doctor, blood pressure was not elevated at all. So it was like, it's y'all. I think there might have been one time I went where it was elevated. I can't remember. I don't even remember. I should have wrote this stuff down, but I didn't really anticipate sharing. And I was going, as you can see, I was going through so much during this pregnancy. And, so that was that with the third trimester. That was what I was dealing with. And because I had these issues going on, they were saying that they wanted me to deliver at 37 weeks. Now, that's not terrible. However, 37 weeks, the maternal fetal medicine doctor said that if I didn't have any more issues with the high blood pressure, that I can go up until 39 weeks without being, induced, right? When that's when they kind of force your labor in the hospital. But if the blood pressure started to trip because of preeclampsia, they wanted me to deliver no later than 37 weeks. And I was not having that. I was like, no, I want to have a full-term baby. I want to at least get to 39 weeks. And that was kind of like my agreement with God. Like, I was like, I want to deliver this baby at 39 weeks or later. Like, I want him to have a a full development of his lungs, be ready to come out. I want my body to be ready so that I can have the birth that I want. Like, this was a lot of things going on that I did not even want. Maybe you can relate. Let me know if you can relate to that because of, you know, whatever the circumstances were that you didn't get the birth that you wanted, or maybe the things that they were telling you, you couldn't get the birth that you wanted, you know? So yeah, that is pretty much what happened. And I will save the end of the story and how everything kind of went down at the end of like the how everything went down at the end, because I think that's very important in how this story ends because of all the things that I had been through with the pregnancy. And this is why I shared the pregnancy story, because it's one thing to share the birth story, but without knowing what happened in the pregnancy, you're like, yo. So this is, you know, it all comes together. But as you can see, God was working from the beginning, building my faith, helping me to overcome fears, you know, helping me to manage these symptoms. I had no symptoms of any of this stuff. No symptom, except for the time I freaked myself out with the blood sugar, but that was my own doing. That wasn't, you know, like, never felt anything, never had whatever other symptoms the only symptoms I did have was being swollen, but, you know, that, I think that comes with the end of pregnancy as well, but I was swollen, but physically, other than being tired, I was fine. So, with that being said, I'm going to end this video and I'm going to share tomorrow the birth experience and what that was like and how I brought my son into the world. So, thank you for watching today again, or listening wherever you are. And remember that you do have what it takes to live your life bravely.